Hey everyone, before the show gets started, I wanted to give a nice shout out to all the sponsors that help keep the lights on here at the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I'm talking about Triangle Wine Company, Proof Alcohol Ice Cream, the Folks Foundation, and brand new to the show, Boss Flash Brewed Coffee. For one, if you want to get some Boss coffee, you can get it on Amazon, and you can use the promo code NCFB Podcast to receive 10% off your iced coffee. It's delicious. Comes in 3 flavors, cafe au lait, vanilla, and black. And then, of course, if you're at the Triangle Wine Company, you can use the NCFB promo code as well to receive a discount. And while you're there, you can also purchase Proof Alcohol Ice Cream. See how it all works together? All of those things are fantastic and supported by companies that love to endorse and highlight artisans in North Carolina, such as the Folks Foundation. So go to folksfoundation.org. Check out their journal that highlights fantastic artisans, podcasters, musicians, all the like, and consider a small donation while you're there so that they can help produce and promote fantastic artisans in our state. And now, here's the show. One man, one sauce, one desire. To take your taste buds on a journey of a lifetime. Introducing Burny Wild's Adventure Sauce. Be ready to experience a rush of excitement, a hint of danger, an abundance in flavor, a possibility of romance.
Hey, I got this. Hi, folks. Mike Rosado here, host of the Pencil Pushers podcast. I wanted to take a moment to share with you a new heat sauce called Burny Wild's Adventure Sauce, the all-purpose condiment sauce with a kick you've been waiting for. It's perfect for tossing into salads and pastas, drizzling on burgers, tacos, and takeout, or just straight up dipping. Not only is Burny Wild's Adventure Sauce packed full of flavor, it's also vegan, gluten-free, and made with no preservatives or stabilizers. But as ready as we are to share it with you and the world, we still need the funds to get it into production and onto your plate. We've got a 30-day Kickstarter running from October 14th through November 13th, and with your help, we can get it done. Just go to BurnyWilds.com and sign up for our mailing list to be the first Burny backer. That's BURNYWILDS.com as we take our maiden voyage of
Burny Wild's Adventure Sauce.
You are listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. Thank you for downloading and subscribing. Coming to you virtually live from high atop the historic Raleigh building in beautiful downtown Raleigh. The NCF&B takes the listener behind the scenes to tell the stories of the people that contribute to the creation of the food and beverage community of North Carolina. And now, the misfits in the dish pit, the faces of the front. They are Max Trujillo and Matthew Weiss.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I am your co-host, Matthew Weiss. And today we are going on an adventure, a wild adventure, with Burny, of Burny's Wild Adventure Sauce. And the creators of it are good friends, Mike Rosado of MRC Creative. Welcome, Mike.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Good to have us here.
And a much often participant of the NCF&B podcast, one chef, Bobby Mcfarland.
Good to be back, Matt.
What's up, dudes?
One man, one sauce, one desire. That's right. If you hear any of the promos that we've put on, both on the show or if you've just opened up your Facebook or IG accounts, you might see some brilliant animation by one Tony White.
That's right, yeah.
But originally drawn by one Mike Rosado.
Correct, yeah.
And then...
Is everything going to be today? And with a question?
Mine?
Are you Max Trujillo?
Oh my God, you guys! And then a little voiceover by yours truly.
Wonderfully done, by the way.
Thank you, thank you for having me a part of the whole thing. But of course, we're talking about the launch of Burny Wild's Adventure Sauce, or Burny Wild's Adventure Sauce.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. Let's get to it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Mike, you are a designer, an artist, brand builder. You create logos. You do a lot of graphic design and such. You also happen to be vegan, so the sauce has got a vegan tail. What else is it that you do?
Largely, so I'm a brand designer, illustrator. I mean, that's largely what I do at MRC. We're a branding company. we work largely in the food and beverage industry. Obviously, we work with you, Max Trujillo, on some projects as well over at the kitchen.
Designers of the NCF&B podcast updated logo.
That's right.
And
yeah.
hats and stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so basically what happened, I think it was probably about a year and a half ago, we had an internal meeting where we were kind of thinking through what we wanted to do outside of what we had already created. So we'd done a lot of client work. Most of the stuff that we had done was in the food and beverage industry, from sort of like a outward restaurant, hotels, brewery type work. And we were wanting to do something a little bit different, where we were doing a project for ourselves, number one. And then we wanted to add some constraints to that. And one of the things we thought about was creating some sort of like a hot sauce of some sort. As a result of that, we started thinking about like all the cool packaging that was done with that. It was just like, from a visual standpoint, you look at all the hot sauces that are out there and they're just like, a lot of them are really outlandish with like volcanoes and like nuclear bombs, and just a lot of fun stuff. As an illustrator, seeing all that stuff, it's just a lot of fun to watch. And I thought that as an illustrator and as a designer, I felt like there was a lot of opportunity there. So we started to build that out, and we started to think about like, well, what would this actually be like? And we thought about the demographics of it, and we love this sort of adventure component of hot sauce. Like when you taste it, it's almost like a dare. And thinking about that from a flavor profile of how fun that could actually be visually with the messaging. And one of the reasons why we started to call it more of an adventure sauce than a hot sauce. And so we worked through the designs of that. Originally, it was actually called Dr. Burns. That was the actual name. I was very, very excited about that name, but then we had to change it due to some legal stuff. There was already a Dr. Ass Burns out there, so we went through.
Which, why anybody wants to eat anything that's called ass burns, I don't get, but Dr. Burns would have been fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's Burny Wild's adventure sauce.
Exactly.
It is vegan friendly. It's all that, but so you, Mike, yourself, you're a home cook and you love food, and we've gone deep into like what our joys of cooking and all that are.
Yeah.
But let's be real, you're not a chef.
Yes.
You have ideas, but those ideas needed to kind of come from some place with some experience, some education, somebody that knows his way in the kitchen.
Exactly. I mean, well, one of the cool things is that being at the kitchen, we work with a lot of amazing creatives, and one of those is Chef Bobby Mcfarland, who's been working with us on different projects and stuff. And one day after we kind of like put these assets together from like a design perspective, and we had this really cool idea, I got together with Bobby and I was like, do you have any interest in maybe actually turning this into something rather than just like a pet internal project, And so, we called him into it, and that's kind of how things came to be. So, I mean, it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, Bobby, what were you thinking during that time? Like, how were you taking the approach of building a sauce from scratch?
Well, the beauty of this place before COVID was, we were all just here all the time. So Mike just pulled me into the conference room and was like, you think this is something you'd be interested in? And I loved the fact that it was adventure sauce, not hot sauce, because so much of hot sauce is like machismo and just like how much
Scoville units and
and like all that crap that like I don't care about. I just care about food that tastes good. And I think heat is an element that should be in every savory dish, whether it's supposed to be spicy or not. One of my most recent articles for Raleigh Magazine was about that. Was about like hitting that line, like the ideal amount of heat in a dish.
Yeah.
So I kind of saw this sauce as an opportunity to contribute a lot of flavor and things besides, but not excluding heat. So I started by writing about 4 or 5 different sauce ideas, just with like key flavor components, and those are actually all driven by different colors. So I was going to have like a green one, a red one, like a light red one, but then we found out how expensive it would be just to make one sauce. So I just kind of crumpled.
Let me start with one first.
So I just kind of crumpled that paper up, and I was, kind of just thinking too much about it. And then Mike was like, how about you just make something and we'll try it? So kind of just started with like a blank piece of paper and wrote down like sweet, salty, savory, heat, whatever. And I just kind of started filling in blanks. Umami was a big one that I think our hot sauce or our adventure sauce brings to the table. And got in the kitchen, started weighing stuff on a scale, throwing it in a blender, and came up with something very close to this final product on my first try.
And so were you looking, this is the color like for the first one, or just like when you put all the ingredients together? Because now it's like a yellow, brownish, mustardy, like dark brown mustard kind of color.
Mike and I talk about a lot about how we're not sure if we like that it looks like mustard right now, because there's no mustard in it, and people often equate it to that. The thing that makes it that kind of turmeric-y, like vibrant yellow, and you'll notice it like if you rinse a spoon that it was on or something, it almost looks like there was like turmeric on it, or French's yellow mustard. It's actually the ají amarillo chili paste, which is a Peruvian chili paste.
I love that. Yeah. That's when you go to like the Peruvian chicken places, they have that yellow sauce and stuff like that. The yellow like everyone thinks it's mayo, but it's not.
It would be assertive if they just served that alone. It might be
maybe there's
mayoed out. Yeah, you know.
All right, Matt, hold on. You've never tasted Burny Wild's Adventure
I have not.
Sauce.
No.
I want you to dip a little on your finger.
I know, but I need something like to put it on because I've just brushed my teeth, and I feel like there's going to be some.
No. It's just actually just twist it. That's how I do, yeah.
Okay, while I'm doing that, I'm going to taste it though. I'm going to go on the adventure, and we're going to get back to the culinary side. But I can't help thinking about one, who's Burny? Is he modeled after somebody? And what's the deal? So he's got like, for the people that haven't seen it or just go to their Instagram, you can find it. But he's got like this old school Panama Jack hat for those that know that, and then this crazy mustache on there, like a I don't know, like a Three Amigos type of mustache.
Yeah, definitely.
It looks like Mike Rosado if he just grew it out a little bit.
Yeah, if I could grow it out that much, actually. Yeah, it's okay. He's tasting it. That's a lot of pressure on us.
The ASMR version of our show.
So good heat, good texture. It's like, you know what this reminds me of in a good way? So
that doesn't sound
in a good way.
Well, no, I mean, it's a great connotation because another company put that shit on everything, but it's really good. Did you ever taste the Whole Foods makes this sauce and they make it in-house? It's like a proprietary one. You can only find it in the sushi, in the fresh sushi aisle, that ginger miso.
No,
it kind of reminds me of that with heat.
Yeah.
And they make a heat one. So is there ginger in there?
No ginger.
No ginger. Miso?
You got the miso.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm not that far
palate
off.
there.
Yeah.
Matt knows something.
Yeah.
All right.
So Burny Wild's. So basically, I was looking at all these different characters, and obviously I'm an illustrator, love to draw. I thought about this idea of adventure and having this kind of spirit character, spirit animal, the main character to embody the brand itself. And I thought it'd be fun to have an actual character itself, like the old kind of classic mid-century mascots that you'd see with
Chef
brands.
Boyardee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But modernized for our world. And so he embodies the adventure spirit of Burny Wild's. He's kind of a mix between, I sort of visualize him as a mix between Indiana Jones and Ron Swanson.
Nice.
He's just
Who's
like
Ron?
this.
Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he's kind of a gruff guy, but he's but he's a good-natured guy. Loves to go on adventures to find like really exotic, flavorful ingredients. And so there's a lot of opportunity for that as well beyond the sauce. Like we're actually, for the Kickstarter rewards, one of the rewards is we're going to do a digital comic book that you can get immediately as soon as the campaign hopefully hits our 10K mark. And you can get that comic book done, downloaded as soon as the Kickstarter campaign is completed.
Nice.
But I want to have that continue as a character that we can utilize for T-shirts and all kinds of fun stuff.
So just to get this right, his name is Burny Wild.
That's correct.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's not Burny
Dr.
Wild.
Bernard Wild.
Dr.
That's right.
Bernard Wild.
That's
interesting.
correct.
Okay, back to the flavor of it though. Okay, first thing, my caveat, the one thing is, I hope this is not the size that you're going to go to market with, because this is just not enough. So that's like a backhanded compliment.
That's the one, man.
This is not enough, guys.
No.
I'm going to use this in one sitting.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you'll buy more. See,
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But then I'll be so frustrated. I'll be like, these guys don't make enough of it.
Right.
So what I like about this though is the heat is really well integrated, I think, as we would say. You know, like it doesn't come out and smack you in the face, but then like you taste it in the back in a really good way.
Yeah.
And I imagine that if you had that on something, it would be even more like you might not even notice the heat. It's just a part of the flavor, like you were saying.
Exactly. I mean, that's one of the things that, Bobby and I have kind of been talking about is the heat is there. That's why we're trying to qualify as much as possible that it's not a hot sauce, it's a heat sauce, meaning we're focusing on the flavor, and the heat is there to support it, not distract.
Yeah. What's the deal? How do you get so what else is in, can you tell us what else is in there? Like, so just for people that don't know, also typically, when I think of hot sauce, like you think of Cholula and you think of Tabasco and you think of Frank's.
Sriracha. Yeah, sure.
Sriracha is more like this in terms of texture.
Sure.
Because it's like a richer, creamier texture.
It's viscous, and I did that on
Viscous, yeah.
purpose.
Okay.
I emulsify some olive oil in at the end of it, just to. It's kind of crazy seeing how the olive oil changes the texture as you add it, because it goes from like, I use a Vitamix, and it even with that, it's still a little bit grainy until you add the fat to it, and then it just creams it out immediately, turns it to like almost like an aioli consistency, even though the amount of oil in there is very minuscule. The primary contributor to the texture is steamed carrots. So that's the real, neutral, slightly sweet backbone of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting my veggies in too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed is the flavor is specific. It's unique. Almost very unique.
Oh, God.
I'm kidding. It's you don't need to qualify the word unique.
That's a pet peeve of mine as well.
Yeah, you don't qualify the word unique. So it is unique though in a sense that you're working with Burny Wilds when you're cooking. So it's like that flavor is a through line, much like the aforementioned Sriracha. And I'm a huge Sriracha fan.
Me too.
I've been using it forever, and it's kind of like an industry love. Like if you're in the kitchen, you love Sriracha. It's just it helps kind of add a little zing to whatever you're doing, and it's also not super hot. People like my kids eat Sriracha. They're like, yeah, it's fine. And so I think this lives in that world, but its flavor profile is completely different. So, I think you could have Sriracha and Burny Wilds on the same table and get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
And I know at home I've been throwing it in my eggs. Like while I was scrambling my eggs, I just kind of hit it with a little sauce and then went from there. I put it in a couple of stews. We were doing like a slow roasted stew, and as I was doing it, I was like building flavor, and I went, why not? Let's just try it. So I just put in probably like a lot, like tablespoon of it in there.
Right.
Just squirted it in there. But I do like too that the way that the packaging was also like, I was in the room when you guys were talking about packaging. I lent my own opinion on it, but I like that it's a squeeze bottle.
Shocker.
Yeah, right. But I like that it's a squeeze bottle in the same sense that like the way you get Srirachas in a squeeze bottle, or the way you get Nathan's brown mustard or whatever. It's the way chefs work. I mean, this is like a chef-driven bottle. It's the same way when a new liquor company comes out and you can tell that they've never bartended a day in their life. When it's like, this bottle is clunky, it's hard, it doesn't fit in the speed rack, I can't flip it upside down real quick to pour quickly. And then you see somebody that understands how to bartend, and the bottle just feels right. And you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that too, and also to answer your question, you were asking about size, but also in terms of the squeeze bottle component, we actually were initially just going through a glass bottle. And Bobby came in with some samples in the squeeze bottle. And he said, I think we should probably do this in a squeeze bottle. I was like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And then what happened was we got to COVID. COVID hit, and we're at home, and I find myself with these squeeze bottles of Burny Wilds in my refrigerator, and I'm bored, and I don't have the restaurants I used to go to, and so now I'm like throwing Burny Wilds onto everything, kind of like how you are. And I'm like, holy, my gosh, this is like so versatile. But the squeeze bottle component was so cool because it really does let you have more fun with it. You can actually get the sauce out better. But I mean, just to your point, the chef knew that the squeeze bottle was the right function for what was needed for that sauce. So that's essentially what we're going to try to do. Is it's not going to be, you have a 2-ounce bottle right there. We're shooting for either 8 or 10 ounce right now.
Okay, good.
The biggest problem, the big problem right now that we're having is just supply, because literally, because of COVID, the manufacturers are, they can't pump out enough of these bottles. Apparently, a lot of them are going to even hand sanitizers and stuff like that. So, so we're toggling between 8 and 10 ounce. But thanks to Bobby, again, outside of the fantastic sauce, we're doing it out of a squeeze bottle, which is going to stay true to that sort of back of house style.
Hey, real quick question for you, Max. being the sriracha lover you are, are you okay with the knockoff sriracha, like the Trader Joe's sriracha?
No.
Really?
This is like, Felicia and I have this argument all the time because she, like, specifically shops at Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
And I will just do it. I'll go with an extra trip to, like, Lowe's or Harris Teeter or whatever, wherever you can get the sriracha, and just specifically buy it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just go just to buy that.
Huh.
I might pick up a six-pack of beer while I'm there, too. But.
Have you done a blind taste test?
Yeah, it's because she bought it a couple times, and I remember having it. She's like, "It's the same thing." And in the end, I went, "No, it's not." I think there's like a fish sauce element that's missing in the Trader Joe's one that you get in the sriracha one, where there's just like this bite that comes through that you just can't parallel. And hey, man, you got to be loyal to Escondido, California, Los Angeles, because sriracha is a Los Angeles product.
Oh,
it's made,
but also it's a proprietary name, like a Band-Aid or a Kleenex.
Diapers or
and
well,
I wear
no, diaper,
or Pampers,
yeah.
Right, it's not a Kleenex or it's a moist towelette or whatever. Yeah,
facial tissue.
Facial tissue. Yeah. So no, I like this. Now you let's not bury the lead here, folks. This is not like a paid advertisement or whatever, but Burny Wilds isn't just going to happen on its own. This is something that we don't really talk about too much on the NCF&B podcast, is that we talk to brands that exist or restaurants that exist or liquor companies or breweries. This doesn't really, quote unquote, exist yet. This is something that is in the infancy stage.
Well, it exists. I'm looking at it. I mean, I just tasted it.
Yeah, but no one else can
Nobody
get it.
can buy it.
Yeah, it's not available to market yet, and you guys, contrary to most belief, are not huge, rich guys that are sitting on a big sack of cash.
We carry ourselves like that, but...
Right, yeah. We all have very nice maroon shirts on, except for Matt.
I was going to ask. It's like Maroon 3 over here. Did I not get the memo?
No. Maybe you're the lead singer.
Okay.
Yeah, Adam.
Sweet. I am, yeah.
So, part of the tribe, so there you go. And so, you guys need to... You decided to start a Kickstarter, and you released this about 10 days ago or so, depending on when this comes out. But we're in the middle of the Kickstarter. Now, your goal is not like a crazy goal. It's pretty modest. It's $10,000.
Yep.
And you knocked out half of it within the first week.
Yeah, we're at 6K right now at the 10.
Fantastic.
So we're chugging along. We are definitely in what the Kickstarter experts realize is the sort of like the lull of the middle part, but we've been chugging along pretty well.
We're in the sixth inning. It's like not a lot of runs scored unless you're the Dodgers,
right? Yeah, we're hoping to turn into the Dodgers in the next few days. But yeah, so it's a Kickstarter campaign to get us into production. Essentially, is what's going on. This will definitely launch us into production. The good news is that we feel really confident about the product because we've given it out. We've given like Bobby's just been working his butt off in between all the other stuff he's got going on to actually make the sauce so we can give it to people, because we realize that once they have it, the conversion rate of like actually throwing down some cash to say, I vote for this to get into into reality. Yeah. In essence. It really is important for us to get that money so we can get it into an actual production, like a bottling company, and get it into stores and sell it online and get it onto people's plates.
Yeah, I think that's important also for people listening to understand. Is like, okay, well, I'm just giving you money. What are you guys getting out of my money? Like, as opposed to, I'm just giving them money so they can float for, So to understand, okay, well, this much money will allow me to produce it, and this, and then talk more about that. How do you scale this, and what is the production capacity, or how much do you want to eventually produce? Yeah,
well, firstly, I should probably state that you can literally donate now to Burny. You can go to burnywilds.com/Kickstarter. In terms of like what our first sort of like couple of steps is, number one, we got to get this Kickstarter going. We need to hit that 10K goal. Obviously, if we don't hit 10K, then we got to start from scratch. But once we do that, the money will cover production run, the actual like cost to get it into production, and also cover fulfillment of the actual product, so that we don't have to have it in our back, in our garage and like say, okay, I got to start doing shipments out. But then in addition to that,
but wait, what does that mean? Like fulfillment?
So in other words, fulfillment is like where you actually have a facility where somebody orders it,
store it in.
And then somebody, exactly, they store it. somebody orders it, they take that bottle, and then they ship it out to that person who's placed the orders, right? And right now, what we're hoping to do is the primary thing we're going to do is sell it online, and then also local markets, okay? And then we might also like partner with some restaurants to actually sell it, in bulk for dishes and stuff like that. Eventually, we want to, like, the bigger goal is to eventually get to the point where we can sell it nationally or internationally at physical stores. The online market, I think, is a really, really strong direction to go, considering the conditions that we're dealing with now with the pandemic, obviously, and then also it's just something you can get very quickly. Yeah. But also what also covers that Kickstarter money is the backer rewards. A lot of people don't realize that, like, the things that you actually pay for, you're getting things back. You're not just getting sauce as a reward. You're also getting T-shirts, and all that stuff needs to be paid for as well. So
I have a question just to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, please.
So, and by the way, the sauce really is delicious. I'm like sitting here tasting it. What's to stop you from saying, okay, well, I'll make as much as I possibly can right now with the money that I have and try to go sell it to Weaver Street Market or local markets or, like, Standard Foods just open again to whatever iteration they are or something like that, and then, like, start to get some cash flow from there?
That is a route to go. I mean, there's obviously different ways you can go about it. Really.
Do you mean make it like we physically?
Yeah. Like if you had a huge stock pot, a couple of huge stock pots, a couple times a day. I mean,
right.
So you'd need to, like, get your facility licensed.
Okay.
But also you get the consistency component too. If you get it all made in batch at one place, obviously you're going to get a consistent product. And then also just being able to seal it properly. I mean, you got to do product testing in terms of, like, taking it to an actual scientific facility who can make sure that it is safe for everybody. So we're just going through all the right professional channels, like you said, Max, to make sure that we get that quality up there so people feel confident that they're getting a good product.
Will this be something that's shelf stable, like once it's open?
Totally.
So it can just sit on a table.
Oh, I'm sorry. Once it's open, it will need to be refrigerated, I believe.
Refrigerated.
Yeah, that's what my gut tells me. But we'll wait for the food scientist to give us the true verdict on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously it would be cool if this could, like Sriracha or so, just... I think technically you're supposed to refrigerate Sriracha.
I refrigerate mine, yeah.
But I don't think anyone's ever done that before. I think you just leave it out and you go from there. But that would be nice. Because I could see this at, like, food halls or so, or like at an arena or wherever, like wherever there's like a lot of multi-purpose food places where this is just kind of like the binder for everything. It's like, oh yeah, you can put this on a pizza, or you can put this on a taco, or you can put this on your hamburger. But you really can, because it does add heat, but then it really just adds flavor. So you could take something that's like mundane and just kind of spice it up a little bit, which is, I think it's really cool, man. I will say, full disclosure, Mike had this thing going on for a while, and I remember, like, looking at Felicia just going, like, he's really doing this, isn't he? There's a lot of ideas coming around, and this is the one. He's really going to do this. But I applaud you, though, because, again, we are like a creative lab here at the kitchen, and there are a lot of crazy ideas. We did a 75-foot long tube where we put tacos in it and shot it down for Tony's taco tube, and it was great.
In balance, this one seems much more safe and than a taco tube shooting down from the fourth floor.
Although if we had Burny Wilds back then, it would have gone in the taco, and that would have been even better.
Yeah.
And so,
next time.
There's a lot of things that, like, we throw around, and I appreciated your stick-to-itiveness to go through. So let that also be known if anyone is like, okay, am I really going to throw this money towards a Kickstarter, and is this really going to happen or whatever? Mike is all in. Like, he really is all in on this.
The tenacity really is unparalleled. As somebody who sees it and talks to him constantly, it's...
Yeah, like,
it's admirable for sure.
Yeah. But I applaud you to doing this, man, and I like an idea, and I like when people push forward with an idea and make it to completion. I also appreciate, and you probably heard the super condescending compliments from friends, like the backhanded compliments, like, this is actually kind of good. It's every time
one friend in particular.
But like that happens every time. It's like, oh, you expected this to be shitty. I get it. Right. Thanks a lot.
Well, I mean, I think that's normal. I mean, you don't. you don't get a lot of context a lot of times. You're like, yeah, everybody makes, okay, you want to make a sauce. Okay, I got it, right. Yeah, I'll try it. I'm sure it's fine, you know. So it's really actually awesome. And again, a testament to Bobby's genius of putting this together is every time we give it to somebody, people are just like really like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally in the weeds all the time on social media and getting emails and getting Facebook messages of people just going, dude, this is really, really good. I was not expecting.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and for those that don't know Bobby and know what he's done, like Bobby came down here from Jersey, New York, that whole area, and spent time with a lot of amazing chefs and helped open Royale, the French, I guess now defunct French restaurant Royale. So sad to say, this pandemic really has taken the lives of many beautiful restaurants. And so, but that was a fantastic restaurant. Bobby and I have worked together in various capacities. Bobby was with Jacob Boehm at Snap Pea Underground, making delicious food there. And then, of course, helped design and still to this day, creating all of the food menu items at Y Hill, where we work together. And then he's doing a bunch of other, Jet Plane Coffee. If you've, it's a coffee shop in Durham that has like a crazy good food menu, thanks to you.
So they're not open yet for food, but they've been just open in a coffee capacity with some like food offerings. Like especially during quarantine, I would make like banh mi and then would sell out of them, like 50 of them on a Saturday before noon.
But my point too is like you've studied under some of the best. It gets me a little teary eyed, and I know you too. That you, like working for Floyd Cardoz, who was like, oh man, talking about the pandemic. He was the first person that I've actually ever known to get COVID and then pass away. And he was only in his 50s, and he was one of the greatest chefs that America has known and India has known. Worked for Tabla and Danny Meyer and the Bombay Bread Bar and all these amazing things. And he was your mentor, and you worked for him, knowing that like your background and understanding complexities in food is also like deep into the spice level of like what you learn from such a badass Indian chef, showing you like how to build flavor. And I think that's kind of a testament to like you're doing this, and I can see like a lot of the inspiration that you got from Floyd.
That's one of the best compliments you could have given me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. No.
Once you cook for Floyd, you don't taste food the same way.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious, like how much of his influence, because I thought about that too with the sauce, because I was thinking, to be honest, you're one part chef and one part chemist. I've realized, because I think it's got to be something to cook with solids and make a really interesting flavor. But when you're working on a sauce itself and creating something that's got so much, that's so unique, that's got so much complex sort of kind of flavor profiles, obviously, you know, working with curries, etc., different sauces, such an important part of that style of cooking. I mean, how influenced were you by this?
More just in the general idea of building and balancing flavor and complex flavors. There's no real spice profile in this because, you know, spice meaning like cumin, coriander, fennel, you know, star anise, like those kind of spices. There's obviously heat spice, but it's more in just like how he would balance flavors. So one of the main components in there that brings a lot of complexity is charred red onion. So I basically burn red onion, which red onion is one of those things that like the more you burn it, the better it tastes. Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain the process, but it like I said before, I kind of wrote down the main flavor components that I want to hit, and then kind of filled in some blanks, tasted it, added some stuff, and ended up at the end taking more stuff away because it's expensive to have extra items in a. Like it goes up exponentially the cost of making it.
Yeah.
It's just so funny that you mentioned that because my mother, who's a strong New York woman with a strong New York accent, whenever we would go to diners, would get her omelet, and she would say, or she still does say, and I want the onions black. And if they're not black enough, then send them back and make them more black.
Or give her some burning.
Yeah, exactly. I think it might be a little bit too hot for her now, but yeah, black onions.
Gents, this is really cool. I look forward to seeing Burny Wilds on shelves or wherever you go. again, let everyone know how they can contribute. Where do we go? We'll put a link in our show notes as well. But where's the best way, and how do we do this to contribute to the Kickstarter?
Yeah, I mean, the best way really is to go to burnywilds.com/Kickstarter, and that's BURNY. It's like burn with a Y at the end of it. burnywilds.com/Kickstarter. And then you can also follow us. We have we've created a really fun, if I could say so myself, a really fun Instagram account.
Yeah.
If you just go to @BurnyWilds, you'll find us. It's a lot of engagement. You can see a lot of people talking about the sauce that we've given it to, just to give you a little bit more context. And then obviously just burnywilds.com, you can go to find out more about the sauce itself. So,
well, yeah, the soft plug here too is that, Mike and I help him produce a podcast called the Pencil Pushers Podcast, which is all about the hand-drawn arts. And through that, we've met so many fantastic, just like groundbreaking artists, graphic designers, cartoonists, animators. And one of them, Tony White, who we mentioned at the very top, helped animate your original artwork. Tony White worked for the legendary Richard Williams, who did things for Disney, for what, even...
But he was largely by himself. He had his own studio. But he's noted as one of the greatest animators of all time, and Tony worked directly under him for many years.
Yeah, and Tony's no slouch, because Tony's worked on serious projects from the 80s all the way up till now.
Yeah, 70s, 80s, up until now, yeah. And he's a teacher, he's an educator, he's an author.
Yeah.
And a wonderful person, too.
Yeah, so if you ever want to just check out and geek out about hand-drawn arts, check out the Pencil Pushers Podcast, where Mike is the host, and I'm somewhere in the background not doing anything, just pushing buttons or so. But that was really cool, because then you just asked Tony, hey man, you're a great animator, I have this artwork, could you animate this artwork? And he's like, sure, of course, man, no big deal, and threw that down. And it's just fantastic to see. And it was like, you really do got to use your resources however you can, and this is a great idea of doing that. And so I think, even Matt and I are happy to have you all on the show and support it, and we hope that the community supports it as well. So
yeah, well, I know I can't wait to eat lunch to put some Burny's Wild Adventure sauce on my whatever it is I'm having for lunch, because it's going to be damn much better. So for those of you out there, go to burnywilds.com and make sure you add to their Kickstarter, help them out, and let's get this sauce out there, because if you have some, you will eat very merrily.
Thanks for listening to the NC F&B Podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes, and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.
Oh, and hey, that was Mike Rosado on the drums for the theme song.